I
Those
didn't put mango. I didn't put mango. I just put banana and ginger and what did I just say? Oh my God. Banana, orange,
are
ginger.
very
I said
Some
berries.
berries, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Hello,
Hello.
hello.
Hi.
Hi,
Hello,
ladies. How are
Ghana.
you?
Are you still in Egypt يا دانا ولا ايه؟
Yeah, I leave on the 24th, inshallah, 2 weeks.
Inshallah,
I
inshallah.
Inshallah.
I will let you know when I travel. You will know, don't worry.
Okay.
Where are you going to? Is it in Tokyo or
Tokyo. I'm going to,
Tokyo? Yeah.
yeah.
I think in Japan they have the World Expo,
I have no
but
idea.
but I don't know when it begins.
No clue. But I don't think I'm gonna have time for anything like that.
Okay.
Not doing anything except grandma duties, whatever that's gonna be.
Mhm.
All right. Basma's here. Layla's here.
Hi.
Nina, hello, hello.
Hey.
Nea's also here.
I made it.
You made it. Hello.
Hi.
It's
I
It's
so
thought
nice to put some faces to the names we see.
right. Yeah. So important. Oh,
I I thought we'll see some ladies with green hair.
Why? Oh, because of the spirulina?
Yes,
it doesn't stain. It makes a mess in the shower for
I
sure,
can imagine.
but it doesn't stain anything. So like your fingers are gonna get really green when you're massaging it in, and then when you're in the shower and washing it out, the whole bottom of your shower, your
Yeah.
temperature. But it
So
really
it's not something like henna.
no, 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 not at all. Not at all.
I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty good one.
Okay.
All right, ladies, let's start. I'd like to introduce a little like ritual to our calls, which is just to start each call moving forward with just a quick, everybody just shares a quick win in terms of what they did or what they felt they a shift in their from masculine to feminine energy that week. It could be something really small. I mean, Omneya shared, I got the idea because Omneya shared, and a couple of you have been sharing how you're shifting and becoming more aware and making that shift. So I thought, why don't we do this at the beginning of each call? Just share something. It doesn't have to be like, if it's a big shift, obviously share it, but don't feel like you have to share something huge and something incredibly transformative. It can be something super small. I'll start. So today I did something way out of my masculine energy, which is following my routine and never deviating from my what I have prepped for my day. And especially on during the week in my work days, I don't typically leave the house during working hours. I mean, even though I can, I have my phone. I'm always, if I need to reach Facebook or somebody needs to reach me, but I'm always I'm very conscious of, I have to follow this routine. I have to follow this plan, nothing. I don't ever deviate from this. And it's been a few days. My sister has been telling me about this great workout she's going to. You have to come with me to this workout. It's an amazing workout. And some of you who've known me for a while also know that I haven't gone to a workout in over 10 years. I am a diehard workout at home fan. I only work out at home. I have my online workouts. I love the comfort of working out in my room, wearing whatever I want. And she's like, you have to come, you have to come, you have to come. And it's at 11 o'clock, on Mondays, just 1 hour. Come on, come on. It'll be fun. It'll be great. And the amount of resistance I had to this, how can I break my routine? How can I leave the house in the middle of the day? Very, very rigid, which is very, very masculine. So finally, I woke up today. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to go. I'm going to have this workout. I hardly ever go and work out in a gym or anything, especially in a class. Like I might go to the gym, like do a treadmill, but a class with people and an instructor, very much out of my comfort zone. And so I went with my sister and I took my daughter with me also. And then we also met my cousin there. And it just ended up being this really, really fun It was a tough class. So, I mean, yeah, the class was like, oh, okay, tough class, good class. The energy was amazing. I left feeling amazing. I got to connect with my sister and my cousin who hadn't seen in a while and my daughter, and just we had fun. And it didn't occur to me till like an hour ago. I'm like, oh, wait, that was me breaking out of my very rigid masculine daily structure. Oh my God, I did it. So I'm going to do it again. Nothing happened. The world didn't stop. My work didn't collapse. My clients, nothing happened to them. I was able to go in the middle of a work day and do something really, really enjoyable for myself. So that's my win. Who wants to go next? Anyone?
Okay,
Dana?
for me, it's more of a me time.
Yeah.
I have been, well, it's like this. I am early retired, so I have so much, I mean, I have time, but I have noticed that I have less time than before I was working. So I made a new plan that I get up at 8 every day.
Okay.
At least I try to, and then I go make the grocery shopping because I like things fresh. And when I come back, I just say, okay, I'll take an hour to read. So before lunch, and then after lunch have tea, and so with friends, and then afterwards I take another hour to read, or even a bit more. And in the evening it also goes like this. Then we have our dinner, and after dinner I go again and have an hour of reading. So I have been reading like mad.
I'm jealous.
Not,
I
I
love
mean,
it.
not only your books, but other books I had bought some time ago, and I thought, I want to also read them. So I have been going in this, so more of a me time, and I don't feel bad about it.
No, I love it. Amazing. That's amazing. Congratulations, Mariana.
Well, thank you.
Oh, to be able to do that, read 3 hours a day. Ooh, goals.
It
Hashtag
is.
yes. Amazing. Anybody else want to share? Those of you just joining, I think Nirmeen just joined us. Randa, I'm not sure if you heard me say.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, Emel. I'm saying that we're going to start each call by everybody sharing a very small win when it comes to shifting from your masculine energy to your feminine energy. It can be something small, it can be something big, anything that you feel you have been able to actually move away, evolve from doing it repeatedly in a masculine way to finally figuring out how to do it in a more using more of your feminine energy. So I gave the example that I was able to break out of my very, during the week, strict working hour routine. I don't leave the house. I never do anything except in my working hours except work. And I was finally able today to say, you know what, it's okay if I relax a bit and go take an hour and do a workout with my sister, with my daughter, and enjoy it and not be so rigid all the time. And then Marianne was saying that she was able to incorporate 3 hours of reading a day as a form of self-care. So amazing. So I'm going to open it up and see who has a win to share with us around shifting from masculine to feminine energy.
Okay, I can raise my hand. I think I can something.
Go ahead.
Well, I have a routine usually on Friday. Either I stay at home or I go and see my mom, but I broke my routine this time. I decided to have some me time with a friend of my best friends.
Okay.
We went out for breakfast and a coffee and a chat. I told her a little bit about this course that I'm taking too, so it was nice to share with someone. But I'm Bussy, to be honest, I don't think I'm a very much of a male. I don't have a lot of male energy. I'm more of a female energy person.
Okay.
I'm not so systematic and I like my routines, but I think I have more of a female energy than male energy.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, that's great. Like those of
Yeah.
you who feel like you're already there, share with us. For
Mm.
those of us who are still trying to incorporate that more, by all means, if you feel you're already there, tell us about it. Tell us how it works more. But that's great. I'm very happy that you're able to do that. I mean, I definitely felt that today, that being able to connect is a very feminine energy practice. And I sort of like compartmentalize when I can connect. And sometimes you just need to connect with people, family, friends, without a schedule. And that was really important for me. So connection, because we were talking about connection last week. So it really is food for the soul, truly. Yeah. I don't know who had their hand up first, but I'm just gonna do it this way. Omneya, you go first.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm so happy that I made it this time. It's been like 3 times I'm missing it. So for me, it's my day is like it goes into waves because naturally I am a teacher, I'm a mother, I take care of my house, I take care of my mom, I have work to do. So I'm into planning that, into being creative, then into that and that and that. What helps me a lot is to take the pause, as I shared in my last post. Just pausing and see where am I now and what I need helps me to have the right balance between the two energies. And it's interesting enough to like be aware of it's coming up now, it's happening now. It's very interesting what's happening there.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
It was just take the pause
Yeah.
and connect, as you're saying.
Yeah. It's the pause. It's the pause. I think
It is.
Esma had commented on your post that it's about taking the pause, and it really is. I think that's the hardest part, like to take that moment and recognize, we're just so sometimes just we're in the hamster wheel so much that we lose the connection with ourselves with that.
Exactly.
I think, yeah,
Exactly.
that pauses, yeah.
Yeah, just taking a pause, just a small, like, couple of breath, kiddo. Where am I? Okay, what am I doing? Is that like in my favor now? It's like how the balance is happening. Just connect yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
And the more you're doing that, the more you can like know where to direct your energy and how like to use it. Both. We have both.
That's true. Like where does it serve you the most or the best?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's very gentle. You're just being kind to yourself. It's not a fight.
No, it's not a fight, right? It's not a fight.
At all.
I felt that, like, it's not a fight, by the way, just go. Like there's no fight.
Yeah,
Go.
because I felt at the beginning when I was like, we're starting this program, it's like, am I going to uncover a certain struggle inside myself that I haven't been aware of or what? And then I've been very curious, and curious is a key here. It's like, okay, I'll stop. Oh yeah. Oh wow. There's an aha moment here. And it kept on happening like that. So it's quite interesting that I'm learning on the go like that with the flow. I'm just going with the flow.
Yeah. Yeah. How many of you would like to just go with the flow completely? I'm not saying you should, but how many of you would like to? Definitely would like to. A lot more than I am, for sure. Yes. Oh, thank you, Omneya. Randa says me, of course. Yeah. Nermeen, yes. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Layla, go ahead.
Hi. I'm very happy to join today because I haven't the previous 2 times. And I'm very happy that because this group is giving me the balance that I need. Recently, I'm going through a little bit of stress, if it's private or I mean in personal life or work. And if I focus on work now and the feminine and letting go, I had a lot of things going on and everything is priority and everything has to be done and really top stuff or important. And then I was like, okay, let go and I'll just focus. Give yourself the time to focus. You cannot handle everything because the masculine is quite higher. It takes a lot of me. And I said, okay, I will drop that for a while and focus on what I can do. And then it worked. And I always believe and this reminded me again of this energy. If you have this energy, this positive energy, so positive things happen. At least in work, it happened. So I was very glad. I was very happy, and I was very astonished when I was like, oh, and then everything worked. This was such a beautiful experience and relaxing. I cannot do everything at the same time. So I said, okay, خلاص, what will they do? Fire me. يعني هعمل إيه? So, okay, I'll just focus on what's important, and I let it go, and I worked on it in peace and let everything else wait, and it actually worked, and nothing happened. Nothing bad happened. Relax, it worked perfectly. So this was a very good, very nice experience.
This is the feminine quality of being passive, which a lot of women like. When we talk about feminine energy, and we see one of the characteristics of feminine energy is being passive. It's not about being passive. I just always use this example, like being a doormat. It's about allowing. It's like saying, here's what I can do, here's what I can't do. I'm gonna do what I can. I'm gonna let the rest fall by the way. And allow whatever happens, whatever needs to happen for me will happen. Whatever doesn't need to happen for me won't happen. So this is a beautiful example of that. Yeah. Thank you, Layla.
Thank you.
Thank you. Randa, go ahead.
Hi, Dana. I want to talk first about clarity. I haven't read the book, but I listened to the recording and it's amazing. I have a sharing about my takeout from the past time and about what you said. So recently I'm still in the middle of Feminine Genius book, and I'm trying to follow my feminine energy in the sense of I always used to put a structure to myself, and it's all or nothing. If I don't follow the structure, then خلاص. It happened to me at the beginning of the program when I couldn't finish the books, and then okay, I'm not going to read it all. I fell into the trap of I'm way behind, so I won't even put the effort. So as I'm reading Feminine Genius, and when you said, of course, that it shouldn't stress us and we need to take it to our own pace, and the part where there's a spiral, so I started like consciously accepting where I am, and okay, I'm not able to read this at the moment, but it's fine. Whenever I can, I will continue, and it really actually happened. I started reading again the book. And of course, after listening to the recording and all your takeout from Clarity and Connection, I was so I can't wait to read it as well, because when I did that, when I let go of the structure and I have to do things this way or else I won't do it at all, things fell into place in a way that, for example, I'm taking a course now. It's called Stages of the Heart, and it was most of the things that you all shared in the last recording. It was almost the same regarding attachments, archetypes. The one when you were talking about oneness, and then we all went into separation. It's like as if you're summarizing the course in this recording. So I felt that when we let go of this structure, things fall into place and they're all connected to each other. So I'm taking the course somewhere else, and then I'm listening to the recording 6 days behind, and they're both saying the same thing, probably for a reason that I need to listen to all of this. But yeah, I was really surprised. Yeah. Bas.
Synchronicity is an amazing thing, right? When you allow and when you let go, there's also a type of manifestation that happens. And then you find certain things in your life, everything just kind of falling into place when you do that. I can't wait to see your reaction when you actually read the book, and how it's going to fit into everything that you're doing. But yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you, Randa.
Thank you.
Sandra, go ahead.
Hi.
Hello.
My win was actually getting the somatic exercise finally.
Yay!
I was reluctant to do it at the beginning, and I was researching, and I was like making sure this is the right thing for me, or which package is the right one for the bundle that she was proposing, and all that. So it took me like some time to actually do it. I got it, but I haven't started yet. But it's okay. It's still a win for me to get it, and then I'll start hopefully this week. That's one thing, and another thing for me is we usually every week we have family gatherings with big family like twice a week every week. So which takes a big chunk of my week with the girls and with my husband. So for the last 2 weeks I decided to just skip them, to be honest, and just focus on my small family instead.
That's not easy.
Yes.
All of us know in this culture, getting out of a weekly family gathering. Congratulations. So how did you do that?
So yeah, I decided actually at the I will do it just once a week.
Okay.
So for example, Mondays, and then we will alternate between both families. So at least I don't have to say no to someone and then they get upset. So at least it's bi-weekly. And I told Chris until I mean, like we have extra things to do, extra sessions and things like that for my kids. And then just till the like Ramadan, and then we'll see how it goes. So I mean, like it's not, I'm just letting them know that I mean there is some change, and then if they accept it, I will keep going after Ramadan even. But I mean, for now, I'm just giving myself a break for a month.
I'm curious, what was their reaction?
So far they're like, I mean, like maybe I'm not paying attention that much to their reaction. I decided that I need to do it, so I'm not paying attention. So they're saying, I hope everything is okay. I thought you said we will alternate, so because I skipped this week.
We lost.
And last week, so they said I thought this is our turn. There are questions, but can you hear me?
Yes, you're back now.
So they're asking questions, and I said like everything is fine. I just not this week. That's it. I don't know. Maybe
No.
I'm not really in tune with my feminine energy, but
the reason I asked is because we're always so worried about people's reactions, and as women, most of the time we're just trying to please everyone. We're trying to keep the peace with everyone. So, remember we talked about being in alignment, right? So you're not just being compliant all the time, and you're not just being defiant for the sake of not being compliant, but really being in alignment with what is important and what's true to you. And when you do that, you're not attached to the outcome. And so this is a great example of that. You wanted to prioritize time with your little family, and you realize that, having to spend time with this side of the family and then this side of the family was taking away from that. And there's no ill intention there. Your whole focus is you and your family. And then when you express that and not attaching yourself to what they're saying, it's working out.
Yeah, and especially the day they said it that because my husband is working Pacific time with Canada, so they decided because he's off Saturday and Sunday, so to take this every Sunday to be with us. So it's actually, like this is like the only time that we get to spend as a family, because this Saturdays you have birthdays and you have other things that you do. So that's why I said no, Sundays is for us, and Monday, that's why we will alternate. So we'll see.
Bravo. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Dina, go ahead.
Yes. So for me, I would say it's the word vulnerability that resonated with me this week, and I've been looking at it differently, and that's my win. Usually, when we speak about being vulnerable, we always have this negative connotation to it, or weakness, not a negative, but just weakness. To be vulnerable in front of people, to be vulnerable in front of everybody is weak, and that's not true, because vulnerability could, open your eyes to things that you never realized you can actually express or do. And I don't know, someone in the group also put that YouTube video about self-compassion. And that's what it is. The vulnerability, the self-compassion, the self-love, everything that I'm hearing right now in this group, just like what Sandra did, that's a huge win. Congratulations for being able to stand up for what you actually feel and what you actually need. Having that self-compassion for yourself, for your family, that self-love for you and the people around you, and not being sort of like ashamed to do it. So for me, I'm really working on that, on the vulnerability part, because I think it's very strong. It's very important that we are vulnerable, that we are open, that we cry if we need to. That's my way.
Did you actually implement that at all, or was it just the realization of it?
Oh, I did implement that. I was at a yoga class last night. I go at least like 3-4 times to yin yoga and the sound bath and all that they do, and it resonated with me because the instructor was talking about vulnerability. So I was like, oh my God, that's a message. And I started thinking of it. And yesterday I was having, again, one of my conversations with my kids, and I teared. And I didn't feel ashamed of doing it. Prior, I would like really hold it in me and like, oh, they shouldn't be seeing me crying. I should be strong enough. If I'm expressing something, I should be okay with it. And they should not see those tears. They should not see this fear. They should not see this and that and that, But now it's like, no, they should actually see that, because that's me. That's me. This is the person that they have to start realizing that their mom does actually cry. Their mom is not a super mom. Their mom can make mistakes, whether it's with them or with anything else in the world, right? Because sometimes your kids, like, I don't know all of you where your kids are, but your kids are sometimes judgmental in terms of when we talk to them about something, and then the way they look at you and the way they see you, and you're like, oh, okay, excuse me, I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah.
You never came with a manual. I don't know how you work.
Right.
So, that I never had before. It's like I was always trying to, show them the good side and not being vulnerable in that sense. And I think if I can keep on doing that with everything, I think it's going to be a great win for me, especially that I'm a person that has always been making sure that everyone is okay, everyone is happy, everyone is content. So.
And by doing that, what you're doing, especially, I know you have a son who got married and a daughter who is good. So what you're showing them as they start their new lives as spouses, and eventually as parents, you're breaking this generational pattern where moms always have to be perfect and never show emotions and be super moms and never make mistakes. You're modeling for them a new way, maybe a better way of being a mom and a spouse moving forward, where you're maybe potentially giving them permission. Maybe your daughter was always following your example, and our kids always follow us, whether we're aware of it or not. And same way that we followed our mothers, like where did we learn this from? Right? We learned from our mothers, not like we cannot show vulnerability. You cannot show that, you know, that anything's bothering you. You need to power through no matter what. And none of this was sort of given to us either in the manual. We just saw how our mothers were, how the women in our family were, and we just copied them. So this is beautiful because now you're showing your kids as they move into the next phase of their lives another way of being a mom, you know, a wife. And this is going to potentially give them a head start, much bigger head start than the one, like we're still figuring it out now, you know, 30 years into our marriages, you know, we're going to talk about relationships today, but they get to have this very important piece of information at the beginning of their lives with their spouses. So this is beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nermeen.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. I'm sorry if there is a bit of noise around me because, as usual, I'm commuting from one place to another.
We don't hear anything. Hear anything.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
My biggest take was, of course, all the ladies that I shared this. I actually confirm all of that. For me, specifically, was being present. This issue of multitasking, which is a bit on the masculine side, and juggling so many things, and you lose the being present kind of thing. So the biggest take is what I've been practicing this past month is actually being present for me and for other people as well. Because even when I was sitting with friends or family or even work colleagues, my mind is racing in so many hundred other things at the same time because I always have to do one thing or another. Actually, I've been practicing for the past months is that I'm giving attention to anything that's being said and to the person in front of me. And I'm doing the same also for myself, is that I'm listening more to my body and when I need to rest and when I need to focus and when I need to read, and really trusting those messages and really in being present at the moment and appreciating the thing that is happening right now without really having to overplan and about things that will be happening tomorrow or next month or next year. So that was really my biggest, I think it's the biggest accomplishment because I haven't been doing this. I don't think I've ever been doing this even in my childhood. So that it's a challenge, but I'm actually enjoying it, and I'm enjoying the slow pace.
My goodness. So what do you think was like sort of the switch that went off in your head that was like, okay, stop, pause, and enjoy the moment? Like what was like, where did you reach a point where it was like, okay, enough is enough, I need to do this? Like, can you pinpoint that?
Well, I think it was a mix. It was a mix of things. I've been through a lot last year, and it made me pause and think because I've lost a lot of things, tangible things, alhamdulillah, nothing. I have an aunt that says anything that money can buy, it's not lost. So actually getting rid of all those attachments left some peace and quiet in my life somehow, which is a bit odd because at first it was labeled as trauma, but then when time passed, and time wasn't much, actually it was weeks, not years. There was peace and quiet with no attachments whatsoever. So when I had the peace and quiet, I started to realize that I haven't been listening a lot. I haven't been listening a lot to myself or to others. I wasn't present in conversations. I was very busy doing things for people. So that was one thing, but I think the thing that really resonated more is the first session on masculine energy versus feminine energy. For me, this was news. I did not really think that this thing existed. That when you said that multitasking is a masculine energy, blah, 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 is a masculine energy, and actually feminine energy is actually you not to be organized and to be slow. And this was news to me. I did not, I've never knew that this is how it works. And I actually enjoy more the feminine energy. And I relate to it much more.
Because it's in our nature. You know, it's actually how as females, we're supposed to have more of the feminine energy and only bring in the masculine energy as needed. And males are supposed to be in their masculine energy for most of the time and only bring in the feminine energy as needed. But again, it's one of those things we're never taught. And
No.
it's never taught. I also love this for you, Nermeen. It feels like a coming home to yourself.
Definitely. I do believe that it's actually I'm in a very nice spot, and I talk about this program to a lot of my friends and family, and because they see the change in me. So I say, actually, it's apparently it's a science.
Yes, it is. Oh, okay. Wonderful, Nermeen. Thank you so much for sharing. Delia.
Hi, I'm happy to join today because I missed the past few times. So for me, it was walking with my son to school. So his school is like 25 minutes away, so it's not far at all. But every day I rushed because I needed to do things after I dropped him off, and I was running all the time. And then I stopped because I don't know what I'm racing. And I let go of things from my to-do list. And I gave priorities to things. And even if I accomplished one or two things from the things I wanted to do that day, I'm totally fine with it. So yeah. And also, I've started a new ritual. When I'm working, I light a candle and just love the smell. So that's my ritual now.
Oh, that's so feminine energy. Yes, I love that. Amazing. And so when you walk your son to school now, is it more slow? Are you more
Definitely.
enjoying the
Yeah,
walk
because
with him?
it's like I walk now almost an hour in the morning and then I start my day. So
Yeah.
because I drop him off and then I come back.
Yeah.
So it's just lovely.
Oh,
Even when it's raining, I still do it. So
oh, walking in the rain is beautiful. Yeah.
not always, but yeah.
No. Oh, I love that. Thank you, Delia. Dina. I think Dina's the last one. Go ahead, Dina.
Is that Dina Cote?
Yes.
Okay. Hi everyone. And I'm so sorry I missed the previous sessions, but I have enjoyed and followed all the recordings and tried to catch up with everybody's reading. I think the big change for me was shifting energies from prioritizing everybody in my circle to explaining and clarifying what I want to do with some of my time, protecting my time, basically. Because I do live a very intense pace with my work life or my personal life. So I think shifting that energy took a little bit of courage to be able to communicate it to those around me that I care for.
And how was it received?
It was actually very well received because I did make an effort to communicate with a tone that was not threatening, that was not going to take away anything that is there, but it's all about the pace. So I don't think it was negatively received, as it wasn't certainly my first attempt to. So I learned from previous attempts as I was reading, as I was also listening to everybody's experience with it. And I think this time it actually clicked. It fell in the right place. I think the message was well received. I think we just see it's early days, but I think it went very well.
And do you think your energy and your tone had something to do with that?
Definitely. And I think the tone was definitely calmer. So it didn't come across as someone who's threatened, like I'm constantly trying to protect my time. We all struggle to communicate that pace with others that we share it with. But I think the tone helped, the kind of the reassurance that nothing is going to be lost.
Right.
In contrast, everything good is going to come.
Yeah.
So it was a very interesting experience this last weekend. And I'm feeling it for the first time. I'm feeling its impact. Yeah.
Being in alignment again, right? Being in
absolutely
in alignment. I love it. And the tone is key, which is, the exercise for this week in terms of your relationship is all about that. Thank you, Dina. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, all of you.
Nice meeting everyone.
Yeah. Brings us right, full circle to what we're talking about this month, which is, relationships. And relationships are, I believe, out of all the primary foods that we've got, out of all those pieces of that primary food pie, the one that is can fill us up the most or deplete us the most, especially with those really our prime, our first sort of relationships, like our parents and our spouses. These are the ones that can be the ones that we're, when they're in sync, when they are, I like to think of them as in bloom, right? They can really be a force of nature in your life, but at the same time, when they are challenging, when they are depleting, if we are not aware of how we are in charge of this, we're going to talk about that, then they can really, really take you down this vortex in your life. And one of the first ways we do that is with food. Anytime, if ladies, those of you who are married, almost all of you here are, or been in a long-term relationship at some point or another, at some point we do turn to food as comfort, because you find yourself in this primary relationship that is full of struggle, strife, miscommunication, lack of communication. And we, again, like so many things, we're not given the tools to figure this out. I mean, I know, speaking for myself, when I got married, nobody told me how to be as a wife. I didn't get any manual, nothing. It just go. You're married now. And I think the only piece of advice I got, like 2 days before my wedding, my father took me inside and he said, here's the only thing I'm going to tell you. May he rest in peace. If you ever think of getting into a fight with your husband, I better not find you at our door with your suitcase. So no, if you're going to fight, you figure it out. You don't leave your home, your husband's home, and come home. So that basically left me with, so I have to figure it all out. If I have a fight, I can't even tell anyone. I need to figure out how to resolve whatever conflicts I might have. And you realize in your circle of friends, at least my circle of friends, everybody was sort of in that generation where nobody really talked about their issues with their spouse either. So it just seemed like everybody was having like really great marriages and nobody was complaining and everybody was happy. And so, okay. And the whole while is you're still not learning how to resolve issues in your marriage, and you keep getting problems that just go on repeat. I mean, we've all had that same fight over and over and over again. Until I became a coach, and part of my training was to learn about masculine and feminine energies, which is something we never learn about ever, and how that plays out in relationships, whether with your spouse or with your parents or with your siblings or with your friends. And then to learn, more importantly, how you have to take 100% responsibility for your role in a relationship and let go of the outcome, which was probably one of the hardest things for me to accept. And I learned it as a coach, so something that I would pass on to people who work with me if they needed that skill. But then I was not convinced. So I went to work on a personal level with relationship coaches, certain that they were going to tell me, oh, you're 100% correct. You know, your spouse or your father or your mother, all these people you're having issues with, they're wrong and you're right. So we need to fix them. I was sure, like, there was going to be some element of blame, or somebody was going to listen to me and understand what I'm feeling and say, right, you know, here's what they need to do. And not once did that happen. Not once did I go learn a skill as a coach or go learn from a coach on a personal level how to be better in my relationships. Not once was the other ever addressed. It all was addressed to me, my energy in the relationship, the way I communicate in a relationship. Am I vulnerable in a relationship? Am I being in alignment in the relationship? My tone in the relationship? Am I just allowing things to be, or am I controlling? And I would go from one teacher to the next, waiting for somebody to tell me, right, the other person needs to take responsibility too. And it never happened. And I kept butting heads with myself because I felt like it's not fair. Why am I the only one who's going to do all of this work and do all of this work on myself and learn all the communication skills and learn how to shift my energy and learn how to shift my tone and do all these readings, and then nobody that I'm having a conflict with in my life over anything, small or big, is gonna do that, any of that? Why am I the only one? And what you learn when you finally let go, so I finally let go of the disbelief that I was the only one who could fix this. Nobody else had any responsibility in it. When you finally do that, you realize to what extent, as with everything else in your life, it is completely in your power, and how powerful your energy is and your tone is and being in alignment is to actually trigger a change. And that's all you can do. So when you see last week's exercise of loving yourself first, because nobody's going to love you and respect you if you don't love yourself first. And then you see this week's exercise, which is to listen and be present. You might find resistance to that for the same reasons I found resistance initially, because these are things that I've done from different courses I've done. And this was foundational work. Nobody's going to love you or respect you unless you love and respect yourself first. And wanting someone to listen to you requires you to be in a position to listen and hear first. Being present and being kind and being empathetic, even if the person in front of you is the complete opposite of all of that. So I just want to reassure you that if you read last week's recommendations and this week's recommendation and you're finding resistance to that, that's normal, because there's a part of you also that wants to protect yourself, and it doesn't really feel like there's any kind of self-preservation or protection in it. You're being vulnerable. Basically, those two exercises really ask you to be vulnerable, like standing in front of a mirror and facing yourself and telling yourself, you know, I love myself. As women, especially, we were never, ever taught that. And then when you feel like you aren't being heard and you're not given the respect of somebody else being present for you, automatically you're going to think, why should I do this? So how many of you are finding resistance to both of these exercises? Just out of curiosity, put your hands up if you read last week's and this week's. Last week's is about self-love, and there's an exercise with the mirror. This week is about doing a meditation about visualizing yourself in conversation where you are calm and present and listening and being empathetic and not having maybe your usual knee-jerk reactions, snapping back, interrupting, thinking of what you want to say instead of listening to the other side until the end. Those are the two things basically I've been asking you to do last week and this week. Everybody's good with that? Or you haven't read it? If you haven't read it, just say you haven't read it. Dina, it's a work in progress for sure. But I'm having resistance thinking about the mirror affirmations because we're not taught. We're not taught to love ourselves. I hated doing that mirror exercise. I hated it. Just looking at me and telling me, it's very, very, very uncomfortable. It's probably one of the most uncomfortable things you do. But if you can't do that to yourself, how do you expect anybody else to do that? Amel, I have it ready. It's okay. Go back and read it. It's foundational. You know how when we do, the detox and we say it's really important to get rid of certain things first and create that foundation first before the healing can start? You go through this awkward phase, painful phase of detox withdrawal symptoms. You go through the headaches. Maybe you have the diarrhea. Maybe you have the body ache. Some of you vomit, right? But you have to get through that to get to the healing. This is that sort of discomfort so that you can start to heal yourself and in your relationships next. So it's key, these two exercises. I'm having a resistance talking to myself. Yes, it's like taking a selfie. Is that like a good thing or a bad thing, Dina? Taking the selfie.
A good thing.
A good
We
thing.
do
Yeah.
take selfies.
Right. Yes. Right. Nermeen, I know, kind of like looking myself in the mirror. The challenge is the listening fully. Okay. Yes. But I mean, Nermeen, you said you sort of already started that. You already got yourself on that path. Listening fully means a couple of things. It means you're sitting there very quietly, literally listening to everything that you're hearing and not allowing your brain to jump ahead to what your answer is. So this is what we do. We listen with an answer, like, oh, they're going to finish this and I'm going to come back with this answer. Being present means you're not thinking of an answer.
It's the jumping ahead that I still need work in.
Yeah, we jump ahead. Ahead. We're like, okay, I'm gonna either we want to solve it for them or we have a different opinion. We want to say like, no, but this is the better way, this is the right way, want to interject. So this week's exercise is you're not going to interject, you're not going to jump ahead, you're not even going to answer, really. You're just going to sit there and be kind and listen, which is, when you think about it, what all of us want. That's what we want. We want somebody to sit in front of us and be quiet and listen and hear and be kind and be empathetic. But you can't get what you're not giving. It's an energetic exchange. So it all starts by you changing your energy first. Omneya, go ahead.
Okay, I understand that very well, but I have one thing on mind when you were explaining that to us. It's just like when I sit quiet and look and I have a self one-to-one conversation, and then at one point I'm very present and I feel like, okay, I'm just in the moment, and then my biases, the implicit biases, the things that I've been raised up on, the values that I've been raised on, the right and wrong that I've been taught, which can be right and wrong to another person different than I am.
Yep.
They come up and they change my mind. So I end up in a struggle. Like I'm having like, I keep on saying, you can't be judgmental to yourself, but okay, now I'm free from judgment, but in a while, then I come back to that judgment. How can I settle this in? How can I like have that peace?
Can you give me a more specific example?
Simply just like the inner thoughts, the inner conversation that I'm talking to myself and I'm saying, okay, you in a certain situation, I'm just analyzing the situation, which is difficult, that I'm having a friendship, a friendly conversation with myself. It's like, what do you think you should have done that? What you have done that? As if I'm giving myself the advice. So at one part, I want to be Mr. Right, but at the other part, I know what's right and wrong. And the third part, I know myself. And I don't want to be biased to anything. I just want to be myself. But the conflict happens. Everything. Am I making sense?
Yes, 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 yes. So the conflict happens. That's normal.
Mm.
The conflict happens, and then because
It confuses me because it's not helping me to stay. Or maybe that's the storm before everything settles. It's like I get that. Like I'm very confused. I don't know what to do.
because what happens is because what you're trying to do with this exercise is also to retrain your subconscious to see yourself differently, to give you different instructions. So all of your stored stories, all the things you tell yourself over many, many, many years, that's like a record in there. That's like a record. And what you're doing with the self, with the mirroring, is you are recording another record. But in the meantime, the old one, it has to play first. It has to play first because it's your old it's your comfort zone. So it's like the comfort zone is trying to continuously keep you where you are. So it's going to bring the old thoughts in. It's going to bring the old patterns in because you're trying to break free from that and trying to look at yourself in a completely different way. You're trying to reaffirm to yourself a new way of being. And it's that critter brain again that doesn't want the change. Doesn't want the change. So you're going to have this inner conflict for a while. It doesn't mean it's ever going to go away necessarily. But at the end of the conflict, at the end, who wins? Yourself or the conflicting voices and the old programming and the cultural, the judgments? Like who actually is the one that has the final say? That's what matters.
Yeah, but the thoughts will never go. They will stay, but they will exchange places, right? Like
They will
what
exchange.
should be
just
on the shelf and the other ones should come.
Because all of those thoughts also, we're not disposing of them like, your garbage.
Yeah, I can't be ahead of them.
They are part and parcel of who you are today, right? So part of that is also showing gratitude for the thought process and the function of those thoughts that got you to this point today.
Exactly. So I would look at them in a different way and reevaluate them. So it's my learning process is not a hindering thing or something like it's traumatizing thing.
No, it's part of your evolution.
I will look at the good of them. Right.
Thank them for whatever it is they taught you.
Yeah.
Thank them for whatever it is they taught you. They might have taught you how not to be. So you would still be thankful for that. You still have gratitude for a thought or a behavior that's now showing you it's not serving you. This is how not to be.
So I'll treat them like friends, not enemies.
Yeah. Still, they were all a part of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Marianne, go ahead.
I have a thing with relationships and the listening part. In Switzerland, it's not a problem because the people here are very direct. So they say what they think and they mean it, and so on. And I'll be going to Egypt in a couple of weeks, and I have been thinking about the people I meet there. So I have my cousins, I have my family members, I have my friends and so, but each time I go, I notice that, well, first of all, there's a noise pollution in Egypt. That I don't know how to explain it, but everything is loud. If you go on the streets. Then you have the cars that are pooping. And then if you go in a shopping mall, it's too loud. Everything is too loud. And then when, let's say, I meet with friends or family members or so, then we go in calm places. I mean, for them it's calm, but for me it is still loud. And then one other thing which I have also noticed in Egypt, there is too much drama. I mean, I meet a friend or I meet a cousin, and then I don't know, they don't speak with you in a direct way. Well, it goes around as a snake, and then I have to wait until the very end to find out what they are saying. I mean, for you ladies who are in Egypt, have you also got these problems or these issues? With friends, with the family members, and yeah. How is it with you?
Who can relate with Marianne on either completely or even a little bit? Noise pollution.
I can relate with you, Marianne. Like
Okay.
I'm born Egyptian. I'm Egyptian.
Me too.
But when I go to Egypt every year to see my family and all that, it's the same thing. You feel like, okay, guys, the noise. Okay, let's be straightforward. What do you want? Let's get to the bottom of this, Don't tell me a whole story and then I have to figure out of the story what this means to you, So I can definitely relate to what you're saying. And you're not alone. So even pure born Egyptian people have that problem.
So Marianne, when you say, I mean, okay, there's a bit of a disadvantage here, right? Because you're like at the other extreme. Like you're not in Italy, for example.
No.
You're in Switzerland. So
and everything is so calm and quiet.
Everything is extremely, like we're talking two polar opposites here. Like what is the polar opposite of Egypt? It's going to be Switzerland. So this has been your environment, I'm assuming, for a very long time, and you've just sort of, as we do, like we say, you take on the energy of what's around you,
and I like it,
and you like it. And in Egypt, everybody's like this because everybody takes on that same energy. So you find everybody is very excitable and very loud and very dramatic when they tell a story or anything. But here's what you get to do, right? You get to recognize that. And because we have a choice in how we see things, so consider this, a circumstance, and you can shift that perception. Right now, your perception of it is that they're loud and they're indirect and they're very dramatic, right? And it rubs you the wrong way because you and Dina and anybody I think who lives abroad, you get used to, it's quieter, generally more organized, there's less noise pollution. You're not surrounded by, I'm guessing, as many family members and friends. So naturally, sort of, the conversations are less, the issues are less because there's just...
And the drama is less.
And the drama is less because there's just, less people that you have to deal with on a daily basis. So how can you, and here's the thing, they're not gonna change, and
no,
there should you, right? So how can you, what's an obstacle that we can remove, or what's something that you can do so that you can appreciate, because there's always something to appreciate. What is a way for you to see something you can appreciate that so it doesn't rub you the wrong way?
Yeah, good. For example, I love meeting my family members. So I love their company, their talks. I love to see my friends. So I mean, I love all these things, but maybe I should care less about the environment. I mean, the place where we are, let's say, sitting or eating or whatever, and maybe concentrate more on these people.
On the people. You also have the choice to say, you know what? I would like to be able to enjoy your company as much as possible without distractions, and maybe invite them over to your house where there's no noise.
Well, I mean, it's fun to go out and see new places or
Yeah.
discover new places.
So you need to find your balance there.
Yeah.
You need to find your balance. But it's really also to your other point of sort of they're not direct and they sort of go around in circles before they make a point or they don't make a point. This is also, again, the perfect example of nobody learning really how to communicate.
True.
It's a skill. It's a skill. And if you look, you know, a lot of, and this also exists abroad because I've worked with many, all the coaches I've ever worked with were either American or European. So this is not something that is just Middle Eastern. 100% it's a human thing. It's a human condition. So for whatever reason, we learn to not fully express ourselves, hide our feelings, not be vulnerable. This is something that manifests in every single culture. So what you're seeing here is the inability to be direct is not just Egyptian. This is everywhere. And the reason for that is, again, most people are not taught communication skills. As women, a lot of the times we are taught to be quiet, to be good girls, to be people pleasers. And that in and of itself means you're going to censor yourself because you're going to be afraid of expressing anger, or you don't want to show sadness because then you're going to be seen as weak. Or if you have an opinion, a strong opinion, you're going to be seen as like an annoying girl or a difficult girl. So automatically, we just self-censor without even recognizing that we're doing that.
It comes from our mothers.
And it comes, thank you, from our mothers, because our mothers didn't teach us that. We just saw it.
How to be a good girl and let's say a good wife or a good friend or whatever.
Exactly. It was just modeled.
Yeah.
It was, you know, maybe sometimes you would hear, you know, good girls keep their voices down, something like that, right? But the bigger picture here was just modeled for us, and we just learned by just observation.
Yeah.
So this is an important, another great generational pattern that we have a responsibility to break for our daughters. So and like Dina's doing, maybe up until now, her kids have seen her not cry, be super mom, be everything, but she's decided, I'm not going to do this anymore. So they're going to get to see a different side, a different way of being a woman, of being a mom, of being a wife. So automatically what she's doing right now, she's shifting that generational pattern that she learned from her mother and her mother learned from her mother. So now that we're learning it and we're conscious of it, just like we're breaking generational patterns of bad health, where no more is, you know, heart disease going to be passed down from us to our kids and from their kids to their kids because we broke it. We know that you can. You do the exact same thing with things like relationships and communication skills.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Omneya, go ahead.
Okay, so I was just thinking about what Marianne was saying is like one big point that was raised up in my head, and I was like, acceptance. Just accept the differences, accept what's going on. I'm just like her. I lived in many places. I lived in Geneva, I lived in Thailand, and whenever each time I go and stay there, then come back to Egypt, I feel like things has changed, people has changed. So I knew that everything is changing. The universe is changing all the time, but I have to accept that and go with it, right? And I learned a very nice skill in mindfulness, or something that how to take a mindful snack. Let me share that with you. Snack means S stands for stop, N stands for notice what's happening and just be okay. A stands for accept. C stands for be curious, ask yourself questions. Why am I feeling that? What is happening around me? And then K stands for be kind to yourself. So whenever I feel like I'm overwhelmed with anything, I just take a mindful snack.
Omnia, can you share that in the group at some
Yes,
point? Okay.
yes, of course. I have like acronym for it. That's
Okay.
like,
I
Yes.
like it.
Yeah, I like this. And this reminds me of when we were talking about the book, Clarity and Connection. Again, when Dina was saying that we are all connected as one, if we just take a moment and remind ourselves of that. And then also reminds me of the TED talk that Delia shared about self-esteem and self-compassion, where she says we're all connected by our imperfections. Which one of us doesn't have something that's wrong with them, right? And if you can sit with someone and sit with people, and if for whatever reason they rub you the wrong way, or they say things you don't agree with, or they're anything about it, it's just not who you are, that's fine, because they get to be who they are. And if we can just remind ourselves that we are connected by our imperfections, like that's their imperfection. I might not have that imperfection, but for sure I have another imperfection. And be kind to them and be kind to yourself. Remind yourself that they might be sitting there having the same thought about you also. You might be annoying them in some way, which they get to think, right? But what are they doing about it? And if they're doing nothing and they're still enjoying your company, even though there is a chance that there's something you're saying they don't like, something you're saying they disagree with, but yet there's a bigger reason for you to sit together. And being able to, this is something I said it before, it's a really big thing for me, really being able to just remind myself that this human being who might be saying, in my opinion, the most absurd things I've ever heard, and I don't agree with anything they're saying or the way they're saying it, this is a human being. This is another human being made by God. Who am I? Another human being made by God to judge this person, to have a very strong opinion about what they're thinking, because there's something called free will. Everybody gets to think whatever they want. And at the end of the day, there's no harm. There's no harm. So kindness to yourself, kindness to the person in front of you, humble yourself, remind yourself that they're imperfect, you're also imperfect, and move on in that connection of being imperfect and being one, both of you. So, but what are we taught? That, if somebody has a different opinion, you argue back, which of course you can. There's something called healthy debate, but stand your ground, don't let anybody talk down to you. If somebody says something you don't like, you talk back. We hear more of that than we hear be kind, be respectful, be empathetic, sit and listen, agree to disagree. So there's a lot of things that go into relationship skills. I think understanding that and understanding that nobody was created perfectly and that we all function in the best way that we can goes a long way with any relationship. To just bring the energy down, especially if there's very heightened feelings, to just remind yourself of that brings it down to at least a level where there isn't as much antagonism and anger, I think. Right? Let me see these notes quickly. Sada, I did the mirror thing. I didn't feel anything. I just noticed, oh, I became a bit old. I have pigmentation. Oh, I have wrinkles. Maybe I'm doing something wrong in the exercise. I did it twice and I stopped. No, this is normal because you're looking at yourself. Obviously, it's a mirror. You're going to look at surface level first. You're going to notice the obvious first. And your critter brain is going to take you to that first as a distraction. So you absolutely did not do it wrong. You just didn't do it enough. So keep trying it, keep doing it, because how many times can you look at the pigmentation and, oh, I'm old? Which, by the way, is another way that you're speaking to yourself that, is this the way you would speak to someone you love? So let's say your best friend is standing in front of you. Would you look at her face and say, oh, there's pigmentation right there, and there's a wrinkle right there, and oh, you look really old? So that might be the first thing that you shift when talking to yourself. It's okay to recognize the changes, but is that what you want to focus on? Instead of telling yourself, you know, I'm getting older with grace. Look at my face that has experienced all of this in my lifetime, and think about all the things you've gone through. So acknowledging, yes, we're all getting older. Nobody gets younger. We all get older. There's nothing wrong with that. But be kind to yourself in the recognition of that. And then once you do that, you'll get over that hurdle of just recognizing the physical, the superficial, and get into the deeper part of it. And then definitely the next time you do it, you know, think of your best friend sitting in front of you. What would you tell her? Dina, if you're shifting into your thoughts and acting on the new thoughts, and then you get criticized and you have to explain yourself, or you are outcast. If you are doing this, Dina, in alignment, in the right tone, right? You're not threatening. I mean, Dina Kote was saying, but she left. You're not threatening. They don't stand to lose anything potentially in the way that you're expressing yourself. This is what we mean by alignment. And this is something you do get obviously a choice in who you want to express your new self to. Like, not everybody needs to have access to your evolution process. Not everybody does. But those who you feel you want to share this process with, if you are sharing vulnerably, so authentically you, right? Then detach yourself from the outcome of how you're not responsible for their reaction. You're only responsible for how you present yourself, how you express yourself. None of us are responsible for anybody's reaction, just like anybody speaking to you is not responsible for your reaction. So if somebody's speaking to you about anything, and you get angry, or you get sad, or you get triggered, that's not on them. It's your responsibility to choose how you want to react. So you have to, we know this, most people don't know this. Most people, it's the easiest thing to do is to blame somebody for how they're feeling. You know, he hurt my feelings, he upset me, he made me angry, this is why I yelled, this is why I'm crying. We place the blame on the other. But taking responsibility for your communication and taking responsibility for yourself in general means you don't place blame on how you react to someone and vice versa. The noise. Amal, I understand. This happens when you live abroad for so long. It is a culture with its good and bad. Exactly. The good and the bad. And we always have a choice to focus on the good or focus on the bad in anything. Randa can relate. I myself have difficulty trying to express myself directly or clearly. It's a cultural thing, and we weren't taught to be direct and quick. Working on that. So same thing I was just saying, Randa. Work on being authentic and being in alignment. It doesn't necessarily have to be quick, but when you are in alignment and speaking your truth, that's automatically being direct. And that does take work. Yes. Delia, go ahead.
Just piggyback on what you were saying about when you're in a conflict, don't blame the other person. Just say the I statements. So I feel, I need.
Yes.
So this makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Huge difference versus saying you did, you said, you should have, you could have. You've lost you've lost the argument, for lack of a better phrase, when you say that. No, but the listening and the hearing on the other side automatically shuts down when that happens. If you want to be heard, and in a situation where there is conflict, there is lack or miscommunication, and you feel potentially this person you're speaking to has wronged you in some way, the way you express it is key. And the more you can keep it about yourself. I was hurt. I felt betrayed. I felt let down. I like exactly like Delia said. The less you make it aggressive and defensive, offensive, the more that you're going to find the other side being kind, because they're not being attacked. They're not being blamed.
Yes, because otherwise they'll be defensive.
They're gonna even if you're 100% right, 100%, they've done, horrible things, but you come at them attacking versus expressing your vulnerability in the situation, the communication shuts down, the solution shuts down. They become defensive, it's over. I mean, just switch it. All you need to do is just switch it. If somebody comes at you saying, you did this, and you did this, and you did this, and you did this, even if you've done all of those things, no, I didn't, and you're going to walk off. It's a natural defensive reaction. Nobody wants to be blamed for anything. But if somebody comes to you and says, Delia, I'm really sad. I feel like I can't trust anymore. I feel like I'm really hurt. It pulls at your humanness. It pulls at your empathy. And then you find yourself, if you need to apologize, you will apologize. If you need to explain yourself and say, well, I'm sorry, but what I actually meant was this. And it opens up the lines of communication versus accusations shut down the lines of communication. Thoughts or questions on this, ladies? Again, when we say it's a work in progress, it really is, because especially with, people you're really close to, like siblings or your, parents or your spouse, we've gotten into the pattern of things. We've gotten into the habit of certain ways of communicating. So to take a pause before you react in your usual way does require focus. So when you find yourself in a communication situation where your first reaction is to potentially, accuse or yell or be very, very aggressive. And if you're, sort of going the pendulum swing between compliant and defiant, that might be the case. The pause is really key. But this doesn't happen overnight. And it doesn't happen permanently. Let's put it that way. We're humans. And that's not the point, that you communicate perfectly every single time. The point is to evolve and to understand yourself and to grow and to have those skills with you, so that more often than not, you are communicating and expressing yourself authentically than not. And then if you do find yourself not communicating authentically, then because you've done the work on yourself, you can backtrack and say, you know what, there's a better way for me to share what I need to say. And it's all of this is just you working on you. All of this is you taking responsibility for your communication skills, your tone, your authenticity. At no point are we talking about anybody else doing anything. They get to choose. Any thoughts on this, ladies, or any other questions, or what specifically? So our next session is a book club session, but then we have one more session on this. So conversations around relationships can go in many directions. So if there is a specific direction or, you know, conversation or piece of advice that you would like, let me know, because, you know, like I said, when I think of relationships, first thing it goes for me is spousal relationships. So maybe for you, it's more of your friendships, or maybe it's a sibling issue, or maybe it's a parental issue.
Dana, can I just share something?
Yes,
That research shows that how we respond to good news is what makes us in a good relationship, not responding to bad news.
tell us,
Because yeah, because everyone responds to bad news like with empathy or so, but good news, you need to show that you're interested in what there are a few types of responses. So there's the active constructive. So if you shared with me some positive news, if I say yes and I let you savor the moment, I share it with you, that's active constructive. There's also the passive constructive. If yeah, it's nice, and that's it. I'll just like finish your sentence and won't make it like last longer. There's also the destructive, the active destructive, even if it's in good intentions. So if someone came from school and just said, I got in anything, a scholarship or something, and the first thing the mother said was, okay, but how will you pay for it? So it just took all the joy away, instead of getting interested and asking more about it, and then being realistic and ask about that. And the last one is the passive destructive, which is kind of one-upping. Is if I share with you, oh, I got a dog, and I'm very excited, and then, you know, I have a dog too, and then you start to get to shift it on yourself.
Okay.
So how we react makes a difference in our relationships, the responses.
Definitely. I mean, I know what you're talking about when you gave the examples. I didn't know that they had labels for those. Please share that on the group with us. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. How many of you have done that? I mean, I've done all of those. I've definitely done all of those at different points in time with different people. And not with bad intentions. You're right. Not with bad intentions at all. Not even knowing how that would land or the kind of effect that would have. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Delia. Please share that. Randa, for me, it's sometimes friendship attachments. What specifically about them, Randa?
1 second, I'm just trying to find a clear spot. Okay, so I've started realizing lately that when, so I have my school friends, they've been with me since I was 4 years old. Khalas, it's like we're family. We're used to each other. We know everything about each other. But when they're new friends, and I feel like, okay, first, there's no attachment to them because I don't know them well. Whatever's happening, I'm like letting things flow. And when I start getting closer to them, I think I get attached to this friendship, to this bond, to like seeing them every now and then. And I think sometimes this creates a problem for me in my relationship with them, as in it's not flowing as before, because I feel okay, I'm starting to care about them, about this friendship. Maybe if sometimes I withdraw for any reason, I feel okay, this friendship is not going to continue. Or so this is an actual example that happened actually. We're like a group of 8 to 9 girls. We take a course together, and then one of the women with us, she was going through something that wasn't well, she had a problem with another one in the group. And then at one point, she was just like, she wasn't kicked out, but like someone else created a different group. And some of us, we found that a problem, of course, and we voiced it out. But I started having like my own thoughts. Okay, is this going to happen? If things are not going well between two people, we're just like going to create another group and leave them alone and continue like the friendship and the bond. So we were dealing with that issue on its own. But I mean, what I took from it is, okay, if I'm so worried that I will be the next one, then I'm attached, or that there's something not right. And I wasn't feeling well at that time, because it was a bit difficult, because I felt, okay, well, when they're going out, I should go there, I should be present, or else I'm gonna withdraw, and then they might feel this energy, and then they might create a different group. And I sat with it a bit, and then I realized, okay, there's no attachments there. I'll just leave it to the flow, and whatever happens, happens. I'm with them because, well, we have this bond together. We talk about growth and the courses that we take, and this is what started it. So I'll just leave those attachments, and I'll put them in their place. I'll let it flow, and I'm just starting to like make this switch now. And it's just recent. This realization about the attachments is very recent. And
I mean, without any judgment, it sounds like you're working on your growth and they're not. Just off the top of my head, right? I mean, if you're all working on growth, this is kind of high school behavior, right? So identify that, as a start.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then do you?
But it was like under the energy of under the label of, okay, the energy is not the same as before, and so it's like under a different label. But I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's adult, adult words now, but it's oh, we don't like her, so we're gonna push her out. High school, So I mean, this is important that you recognize this, because some people never really grow out of high school behavior. Some girls never do, and they carry that on as adults. So they're very unpredictable, right? Mm-hmm. High school girls, like one day they love you and one day you're out of the group, and without any explanation. So it's up to you to protect yourself. Mm-hmm. And as as somebody who's growing and evolving and doing the inner work, you have to ask yourself, right, so what specifically do I want from this group? Make it very clear, what you need and what you want and what you expect, not waiting for them to decide what happens to you, right? So you be in the driving seat of your role in this group, and be very, very aware, and it sounds like you are, of when that energy starts to shift, then you take the necessary step for yourself. Like you if you decide you need to leave the group because this is not going the way that you expected, you expected a mature relationship, mature communication, and it's not going in that direction, and this is affecting your growth, and the whole point of this group is growth, then you would take the step to remove yourself if necessary.
Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome.
I think also boundaries is important.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah.
High school girls tend to not have boundaries until they kick you out, and then that's the boundary. Unfortunately.
Yes, it's really it's amazing how girls will be girls, like whenever.
They you know, again, we're not judging, but some people never move past the dynamics of relationships in school, you know, and they keep that going, whether it's the gossiping, whether it's the backstabbing, whether it's the groups and who's in which group and who allows who in which group. It actually does continue on into adulthood for I don't know if it's many women, but definitely some women and men.
But yeah, I just meant with boundaries for yourself. So you choose what you want to be involved in, and just if you don't want to be involved in the gossip or whatever, just stay silent, leave the group just chatting, and just do not involve yourself. So just put boundaries from your side, not in a mean way, just to prevent that attachment.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. You create your own energy. Like you don't allow that energy to affect you, because you can choose that. This is what we mean. We said like you get to choose how other people's words, communication, actions affect you. You're the one in charge of that. Anybody else, ladies? Question or share? A lot to think about. Yeah, a lot to think about. A lot. Definitely. And it's ongoing. It's not one of those things where you just say, okay, I've figured it out and I'm done. Let's move on to the next. It's a continual, there's always something to think about, always something to pivot. Try one thing, it works, it doesn't work, you try another thing. Like everything, it requires work. But again, the results are worth it. Like everything that's worth doing, the results are worth it. Interesting to reflect on. Yeah. Definitely. All right, ladies, we can wrap up if nobody else has anything else they'd like to ask or add. Delia and Omneya, please, a reminder to post your inputs in the group as a reminder, if somebody also wants
I already did.
Oh, thank you. And then the
I'd share them. Yeah.
didn't attend, or the ladies are going to catch the replay, they can also have that. Next week is our call for the Awakening, which is our first real literature book. So far we've all the books, I mean, even though Clarity and Connection was poetry, it was still self-help in the form of poetry. So the Awakening is our first true work of literature. So it's a very short read, ladies. Even if you haven't started it, it is a very short book. You can definitely read it in 1 week. 100% you can read it in 1 week. This one should be great conversation and discussions. So if you haven't started, if you feel like you want to go in order, you still want to read Clarity and Connection or any of the other books, I would table them for 1 week because you haven't read them anyway, and focus on the Awakening. Read it because I actually did, it was one of the books I did my thesis on when I was doing my master's in English and comparative literature. It's a really good, interesting book for debate. Let's put it that way. So, and short. Anybody can read it in 1 week. All right, ladies. Thank you for another great call, everyone. And let me know your thoughts and thought process as it comes up, those of you watching the replays also. And I will see you all next week. I will run the next call with the book. And then, but the ones after that, I will put up the volunteers for who wants to run those calls, because the Awakening is the last one, the last book session before I leave. So the books after that, we'll take some volunteers for who's going to run those calls. All right, ladies, have a wonderful rest of your day or evening.
No, sorry, I want to ask you something. Are there many versions of East of Eden? Or is it the 700 pages one?
Yeah.
It's that one. Okay.
It's that one.
I was just making sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's only one. All right. Okay, ladies.
Okay.
See you next
Thank
week,
you.
inshallah. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.